Hello everyone and welcome to Ford's Playground. Where's all my playmates out there? Good to see everybody. How's everybody doing? Awesome. So this time we're going to talk about the devil. Is it real? Is it a trick? What is the devil? Is it an entity with red horns and a pitchfork? I know I use that a lot in a lot of our in some of the older videos. I used to like to use that sticker a lot. But what is it? Is it something inside of us? Well, tonight we're going to talk about that. We're going to get into what the devil is, what it is, why it is, and sadly, why we need it. So I hope you stay tuned. Here we go, and I'm back. How's it going, guys? Good to see everybody in here. Awesome. I'm on the mend to recovery, feeling like my old self again, so it's really, really great. I'm very excited about that. So this week, Joe Rogan and Duncan Trussel had a discussion, and pretty much the climax of this discussion was about the devil and you know, basically, why does everything suck in the world? You know, that's what they were kind of getting at. Why does everything have to suck? And, you know, do we really need a devil? Can we just cast that bitch off and just be done with it, you know? So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And we're going to get into the satsang perspective of that, the non-dual perspective of that. We're going to get into Zen. We're going to get into Christ consciousness. And yeah, this is a touchy subject for a lot of people, but just like we have to embrace the darkness in us with our shadow, we also have to accept the darkness of this world as a reflection of that shadow. So nice to see everybody. We got a nice crowd in here. This is good. Awesome. So I was thinking about a way to do this, to explain this to you, but we have to, part of understanding this is we have to do what's called reconcile opposites. And the reason we have to do that is because we have to first understand, whoops, sorry, the mic might have been a little low, so my apologies for that. We have to first understand that everything is a duality, right? This is where everything comes from. And I talked about this on the last couple episodes ago. We got into the kingdom of imagination, which is to say that the kingdom is like this, it's like this magnetic charge between the yin and the yang, right? If you push two magnets together, you get the force in the middle, right? Or if you pull them apart, you get that kind of weird force right there. Well, in that weirdness force of magnetism, which is what the universe is, it's electric. It's electromagnetic to be, I should say, it's a magnetic electro, to be exact. But this force, these two forces are opposing each other, and in their opposition, right along that ridge where the S is this place. This is the kingdom of imagination. And this is where all the action is. This is where all the fun is. This is where all the dreaming happens. You guys with me? All right. So, in order for us to dream, in order for anything to exist at all, it has to have an opposite. It's the forces at play pulling against each other that creates the material realm, because it's dualistic. Whatever we have that's material, we have to realize that there's an opposite to that, which is metaphysical. So we have physical and metaphysical, because everything is a toroid. Everything. There's not one thing that isn't. From the macro to the micro, from subatomic particles, if you will, all the way out to the biggest galaxies, are all shaped like a toroid. Everything's a donut. Everything's made of donuts. And in a sense of these donuts, this force is at play, and the duality of this force is what creates the realm of existence. You can't have one without the other. You can't have something from nothing. We do get that, but it's the interplay between the two energies that creates that. So I was looking for a prop to talk about this tonight with, and the best thing I can come up with was a sock. So my apologies for this lame prop here. But if you can imagine that, like, this sock represents the metaphysical realm. Okay, so for those of you who are not familiar with these terms, think of this as like heaven, right? This is the astral realm. This is the Akashic fields. This is everything that is beyond the material realm. Okay, we call that the metaphysical realm. So in order for the physical realm to take place, what has to happen is it inverts itself. So literally, what's happening is it's being pulled inside out to create the material realm. And that material realm is an inversion of what the truth is. It's an inversion of what the metaphysical realm is. So the metaphysical realm is infinitely abundant. It's completely outside of time. It's outside of space. And it only exists right here, right now. And it's through realizing this within yourself, realizing the truth of this, is called Christ consciousness. It's to awaken the heart chakra to the truth of this dualistic aspect to nature. Everybody with me? So it's this. The reason we have to have this evilness, so to speak, is to satisfy the dual nature of reality. And don't think about it like a war. Don't think about it as good and bad. Just think about it as play. It's just play. That's all we're doing is we're playing a game, you know? And there has to be the villain. Every movie, can you name one movie that doesn't have an adversary, that doesn't have the villain in it? You need that to propagate the story, to push the story along. And in this case, we can think about this as the adversary. This is a language that I use quite often on the show. I call it the adversary because it's a force. Just like the force in the metaphysics is a force towards moving towards awareness and moving towards bliss, the bliss of understanding the gnosis of all of this, the remembering of what has been forgotten. That is what the metaphysical realm is. So the inversion of that is complete forgetting. It is completely stuck and caught in time. It's caught in space. It's caught in all these things that are the opposite of what the metaphysical realm is. Now we can assign good and we can assign bad to this. And absolutely that is true, because there are a lot of horrible things in the world, are there not? A lot of horrible things happened this week. Another reason to talk about this. So this inversion is necessary, because without the inversion there is no game. It's like children playing a game, right? When they play Cowboys and Indians or Cops and Robbers, right? Somebody has to be the bad guy. There has to be the villain in order to make the story unfold. All right? You need that protagonist in every great story. And antagonist. It's the interplay between the two that gives the story life, right? You guys, everybody with me? Right on. Wow, we got a nice crowd in here. Everybody's just going crazy. I see lots of hearts, which is very, very funny. You guys are really loving this thing that I'm doing, talking about the devil. But if you're new to this channel, don't worry. I don't talk about the devil that often. But I just thought it'd be cool to address it, since it seems to be the hot topic right now. So this energy, this adversarial energy, as I like to call it, is an energy that's moving. It's doing the exact opposite of what the Christ energy is doing, right? So we can say that we have this Christ in us, this Christ awakening here. And when I say Christ, I'm not referring to the man that lived 2,000 years ago. I'm talking about an awareness of being. It is a state of being. The Christ is known as the anointed one. It's to fully realize the truth of the here and now. Okay? And when you can fully embody this awareness of being, you have become what is called Christ conscious. You guys with me? So just like we have Christ consciousness representing symbolically the full awareness of non-dualism, we have to have an opposite, right? Everything comes in opposites. Everything. There's not one thing that isn't. And to go against this, what do we have? Who can name it? We have the Antichrist, right? And then just like we have the Christ who is the one that is in the world, right? Christ represents the anointed one that is in the world, in the metaphysical plane, playing out the game. We have the opposite force, which is the Antichrist, also playing in the game. And what this Antichrist wants to do, it has one purpose. It has one thing that it wants to do. It wants us to go to sleep. It wants us to completely forget the truth, because all of our power lies in the truth, and none of our power exists in the dream. So it wants to keep us there, because the adversary rules this realm. So if we say that the metaphysical realm is where the black is, which is the feminine, the masculine realm, which is where the white is the realm ruled by Lucifer. He's the light bearer. That's why it's white. He's the one who holds the light. And because of this holding of the light, right along that S-curve, right along that edge, is this playground, which is why I refer to you guys as my playmates, is this playground where we're all playing. And that's how it all comes to be. We're going to go deep. You guys with me so far? That's why I'm going really slow. Right on. Give me a thumbs up if everything is cool, the music and everything's not too loud. Awesome. So, here we are. We're stuck in this world of time and space, and it's ruled by an adversarial energy that's trying to get us to forget who we are. And it's very vicious in its way of playing. It plays to win, right? Like any good opponent does. And it wants very, very much for you to be suffering, right? When you're suffering, it's winning, right? And really what we're talking about in a fractal sense is this kind of a war between the ego self and the shadow self, right? Neither of whom are you. They're just the instrument. The ego is just merely the instrument through which you play in the playground. But the ego too has a counterpart. Everything has an opposite. And that opposite is what we call the shadow self, right? So where we are misguided is we are looking through the lens of the ego. Remember, we're not the ego. We're the being that sits behind the ego, okay? And this being is looking through the eyes of the ego out into the world. And what it sees is a reflected projection of the shadow self, right? So you've already got this very limited perspective of the ego. Looking at a false reality. It's looking at an inverted version of reality out here through the eyes of the shadow. Everybody with me so far? So again, we have this power play between the ego, the positive and the negative. It's always this struggle. And it's the struggle from all the way up to all the way down. Even the germs in your mouth, this is a struggle. It's this eternal struggle. And it happens fractally. It's always happening. This is why you need to just let go. This is why we do everything we can to bring love into this world. And aside from that, let go. Let go. It's like trying to tame the ocean. You're not going to be able to do it. The best you can hope to do is bring as much love into the world as you possibly can to make a bubble of love, and then you invite more people in and more people in, and you just spread the love as much as you possibly can. That's what you're here to do. And have a good time. Hands up, everybody, right? So we have this adversarial energy and we have this Christ energy, and they're pitted against each other. And this interplay is what's creating the world before our eyes. That's what creates it. which is a little bit abstract if you think about it. It's actually very abstract to think about these two energies at play, because these energies are inside of us, right? They're not external, because what is external is just projected the internal state. That's what we're seeing, is a projected internal state. We only experience who we have become, and that's what we get back. So you want to bring as much love into the world as you can, so you get the love back in return. Okay? But again, it's really hard to think about this in terms of adversarial energies warring against each other. So in a sense, what we do is we personify it. We personify these two aspects as beings of consciousness, right? We say that the adversary is the devil, right? We give it all these archetypes. We give it the horns and the pitchfork, right? And then we give the personal personification of the Christ, of the Jesus Christ figure, to represent the Christ consciousness. This isn't to say that Jesus isn't real. This isn't to say any of that. I'm just pointing to the dream. I'm pointing to the psychology that's creating the dream before your eyes. This is what we're talking about. It's all just a dream. Everything you're experiencing is a dream. There's no difference between the dream that you had last night and the dream that you're having right now. They're the same thing. In fact, you never even woke up this morning. You only slipped into a different dream. And the dream is always going to reflect the state of who you've become. This is why you have to work on yourself. It's not about fixing the dream out there. There is no dream out there. There is nothing out there. There's only the mirrored reflection of who we have become. Exactly, Gigi. Devil equals lived. It's to see the inversion there. I love that you put that there. It's awesome. Everybody with me so far? We're good? So we personify these two things, and the reason we do that is because we don't want to identify with them. And this is a good thing. This is a good thing, because if we started to identify, if we realize that the adversarial energy is in us, and that this adversarial energy is the shadow, then it's very easy to identify with the adversary. Now suddenly we're not being manipulated by an outside force such as the adversary. Because we've identified with it, we say, I'm a bad person, or I'm a good person. I'm a bad person. I did this thing, so I'm bad, because we've identified with these things, right? So incidentally, if you think that you're a bad person, put as many thoughts as you possibly can into reminding yourself that you are a good person. You are a very, very good person. But who you are is not even the person. The ego is the person. The shadow is the person. You are the one just observing. You're the one just watching the show. You guys still with me? So where did the devil come from? Where did all this come from? We first think about the devil in the Garden of Eden, right? A slithering snake that tempted Eve. Eve represents the feminine energy. Adam represents the masculine energy. And Adam and Eve are ignorant. And what do we say about ignorance? Ignorance is bliss, right? Ignorance is bliss. They're ignorant of the world, ignorant of how things really work. They have everything they could ever want in the Garden of Eden. They're completely held and given everything they want in absolute paradise. But they're not aware of the struggle that is providing them with such a beautiful place to be. Now we could say that this Garden of Eden is on the metaphysical side, right? So if the white represents the material side, which is the realm of Lucifer, then the black side is the realm of Jehovah, and this is the realm that is where the Garden of Eden is. So right along that edge, but on the black side, is the Garden of Eden, and it's paradise. It's always paradise because it's in you. When you can get in touch with the Garden of Eden through Christ consciousness, then you're literally in the Garden of Eden in that place, in that time. And I apologize to people out there who are not Christian. I don't mean these terms in the traditional Christian sense. I'm using these terms in ways of describing consciousness. As we've talked about before on this show, Jehovah translates to I am, essentially. And it's to describe the first person of beingness. It's to describe the stillness when you're in your deepest sense of meditation and you're truly in touch with the present moment as it really is, without time, without space. That is to be Jehovah. That is to be the I am. And this awareness of being, when you are aware and playing in the dream, no longer in a meditative state, but aware and in the dream playing, then that energy turns into the Christ. You guys with me so far? Yes? So Eve is tempted. Why is Eve tempted? She's tempted by a snake. Why is it a snake? Where did that come from? Well, Eve represents the feminine energy. And the feminine energy traditionally is curious. It's creative. It has, it's always wanting change, right? Just as all females do. And I don't mean to offend anybody, but these are just like archetypes of being, right? And the masculine energy conquers and does what it can to facilitate the dream of the feminine, right? And that's what we're talking about here. That's the interplay between those two energies. So because Eve is curious about the world, she wants to know. She wants to know. And simply because she wanted to know, she's presented with an opportunity to know by simply wanting. And she's tempted by the snake. Why is it a snake? Think about how a snake moves. It slithers, right? What else slithers? A vibration. A vibration slithers, isn't it? Because the Garden of Eden is void of vibration. The Garden of Eden is just complete awareness of the dream, right? As things come into density in the material realm, the vibratory force is a lower frequency and it has much more power. Okay? So the snake represents this slithering, vibratory energy. And it's also a snake because a snake is closest to the ground. It's the closest being there is to the ground, representing it is the lowest form of life there is, because it is the lowest to the material realm. That's why the snake is represented as the adversarial energy. You guys with me? Yeah? Right on. Yes, I suppose you could say that the DNA is a snake as well. Sure, I can get with that. So what I'm describing is fractal. It's happening ubiquitously throughout the universe and throughout the mind, because the universe is the mind. It's a mental reality. It's all mental. Everything is mental. There's no foundational material world anywhere. It's just dreams within dreams within dreams forever. And that's the happy part. It's forever. So you kind of want to get good at this, right? It's a game. And if you suck at it, you're going to have a miserable time. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you, give you some cheat codes. That's what this whole point is. All right. So when Eden was tempted by the snake, and she was provided with the tree of knowledge and the forbidden fruit for the tree of knowledge, that with one bite she would know the world. She would come to know the world, right? And then, of course, she convinced Adam to do it with her, right? She's got this great drug, tempted by a snake, and she wants her boyfriend to do it with her. So, of course, he's definitely going to do it with her. And they both partake in the fruit. And in that moment, there it's not that a lot of people think that Adam and Eve were casted out of the Garden of Eden. They weren't casted out of the Garden of Eden. According to the Zohar, it's God who has casted it out. It's because they defied God by ingesting the forbidden fruit. They casted God out of their world by choosing to not believe in him or not follow his instructions. Explicit instructions, right? And what happened to the garden? Their garden withered away. It withered away. And they were embarrassed and shameful. And it was the first time they realized that they were naked. It's the first time they realized that they were ignorant. Up until that point, they didn't know they were ignorant. Now, what does this mean regarding you and me? Think about it metaphorically. Every time you have a thought, that thought is Eve participating, as both Adam and Eve participating in the biting of that fruit. Okay? Every thought. We have about 80,000 thoughts a day, seriously. And each one of those thoughts, metaphorically and fractally, is the eating of that fruit. It's the diving into the material realm. You guys with me? Sorry, Paul, you got to play. I'll get to that in a minute. This is why it's so important to get a hold of your mind, right? Think about that. 80,000 times a day, you're biting of that fruit and going into the world. And then you gain your composure if you have awareness. And you find your way back to the Garden of Eden. And that's if you're aware, right? If you're not aware, it's just a thought that brings you into the material realm, followed by another thought that brings you into the material realm, followed by another thought that brings you deeper into the material realm, and you just get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into this white section. And the more deep you get into it, the further away you get from that center line of this, the devil has you. He's captured your soul. Everybody with me? So that's the game. That's the game. It's to remember who you are, remember what you are, bring love into the world, and realize that this adversarial energy is really you. It's you. All of the power is in you. And if you want it to stop in your world, only in your world, then you have to choose to make it stop. And I say often on this show that we have no free will, which a lot of people are misunderstanding me when I say no free will. You have free will to make choices, but in the material realm, any choices that you make are insignificant to the point of being in the middle of the ocean and being able to swim. You have the free will of swimming, but there's nowhere to swim to, right? It's pointless. It's pointless, right? But where you do have power is in the here and now. When you can be here and now, conscious of these decisions that you're making, you can choose to not partake in the eating of the fruit, right? And I can choose to not partake in the eating of the fruit by being still and being aware of who and what I am and where I am and why I am. All right. There's a really awesome quote that I wanted to share with you, and this is my new book, The Devil's in the Details, is largely about also this conversation that I'm having with you tonight. And I've ended the book with this quote by Jordan Peterson because I thought it was so profound and so on point. I'm going to read this to you now. People will come to a place where they can see they have the ability to either push the world a little bit towards heaven or a little bit towards hell, and then come to realize this is actually what they are doing. It's Jordan Peterson. Which is profound. I mean, really, really profound and deep. To realize that you are creating heaven or hell for yourself with every choice. Every moment that you are choosing to be not aware, to be absent-minded, then the adversary is pulling you deeper into its realm of the material realm. But through awareness alone, simply awareness, you are floating back to the surface. And the closer you get to the surface, the closer you get to that center line with this, where this is, the more power you have of controlling things. Every choice is a calling home. Every choice. Or it's a calling towards losing your soul. We can choose to remember who we are, which is love. That's who and what we are, love. Or we can disregard the love that we are and allow us to be tricked and become the servant of the adversary. The choice is yours. The choice is yours. The choice is yours. And the adversary is fueled entirely by fear, anxiety, and confusion. That's like the gasoline for the adversarial energy. This is why we're all so afraid and anxious, right? It's not the deep state. It's not evil tyrannical governments. It's not the deep state. It's not all of these things that we might think about as conspiratorial things, trying to, make the world evil or tyrannical or whatever it is. Yes, these might be very, very true things in the dream, but it's to recognize that the true power moving these pieces around and creating the world before our eyes is the energy of the adversary, who is the energy of our own shadow self. So if we can do shadow work and work on ourselves and find ways to love the darkness in us, then we bring love into the darkness out here. And to bring yourself out of darkness is so simple, right? It doesn't require a lot of power. You can have a completely dark room, but with a flashlight, you light the whole thing up, right? Simple light, a candle, and all the darkness is gone. This is the power you have through your mind. This is the power. So meditation is important. Self-inquiry is important. But in order to do meditation correctly, and people like to talk about what's right and wrong and sitting in the right position, it has nothing to do with any of that. It's just allowing thoughts to come in and then putting the thoughts away. A thought comes in, you put it away. A thought comes in, oh, you have to call your mother, put it away. Your job called, you gotta go, I'm putting that away. Why? Because I'm taking time to work on myself. This is me working on myself. Whatever thought comes in, it can wait. I am worth it. And that's self-worth. It can wait. Thought comes in, nope, I'm gonna think about that later. You keep putting it away. So that is meditation. And occasionally thoughts will come up that are maybe really, really deep, and you'll know the difference between a thought that's sucking you into the material realm and a thought that is a self-inquiry, maybe getting you to look at your shadow a little differently, or look at your ego a little differently, or look at the situation in front of you a little differently. Those thoughts you want to water and grow. You want to really go down the rabbit hole of where they're leading you. Because this awareness of being, this is taking you to places where you can kind of mend and repair these incomplete aspects of yourself, which is what the shadow is. If you want to know how we get a shadow, I've talked about this a few times on this show. But as we're growing up as a child, every action that we do, every choice that we make is either shunned, don't do that, you're scolded, right? Or it's applauded. Oh, yay, did a good job. He walked and he talked and did this. Oh no, he pooped. That's bad. Whatever it is, So every thought that is bad becomes what the shadow is. That becomes the shadow. And every thought about you that is good becomes the ego. Here's a way to look at it here. You see that shadow self there? But who's the real you? Who's the real you? It's not the ego. It's not the shadow. It's not the anima or animus, which is your masculinity or femininity. It's the one who sees the entire picture. That's who you are. It doesn't have a voice. It's just the one that sees what's happening. It's the one watching the movie. Here's Carl Jung's version, which is much more detailed, but it can be a little overwhelming if you're new to this. And what he's showing there with the smaller circles, he's showing the archetypes of the personal unconscious. The collective unconscious versus the personal unconscious. And we can get into that on a different episode. Tonight is more about the devil. And how to fight the devil. How awesome is that? But if you really want to get good at meditation, if that's what you really want, then you first have to bring your life into meditation. You know, there's so many people who are like, oh, I meditate now. It's very trending. It's very, very the thing to do these days. And that's an amazing thing. And I'm not shunning that in any sense. I think it's awesome. But if you really want to do some meditation, then you have to work diligently on bringing your entire life into meditation. It's not about the 30 minutes that you sit and meditate. You got to find ways to bring your entire life into meditation. You have to find ways to take the edge off of everything in your life, right? And the more that you can take the edge off of life by standing up for yourself and taking back your power in a nice, loving way, the more you can bring that back, the more effective your 30-minute meditation is going to be, or your 1-hour meditation. And then you're going to see some crazy, trippy stuff. That's when you get into really doing some serious shadow work. So keep that in mind. Work on that too. And another way to really mitigate the power of the adversarial energy over you is through frequency and harmonics. And this is a lot about what Phi Tribe is all about. Phi Tribe, if you don't know, is my music channel, PHI Tribe. And it is a channel that uses a lot of really strange alternate frequencies. A lot of it is our solfeggio frequencies, which are very geometric in nature. And this series of frequencies was discovered in the dream was discovered by the Benedictine monks over 1,000 years ago. And they knew the power of these frequencies for healing the self and for ridding the self of this adversarial energy, which incidentally, every ailment that you can think about yourself is caused by this adversarial energy, whether it's cancer or you're sick, even a cold, right? It's this invasive adversarial energy coming into your space, and it's wreaking havoc. And yes, Gigi, through sympathetic resonance, which is what vibrations do, you can listen to this music and it will help balance you. It will help balance your personal vibration. Now, this isn't a sales pitch for Phi Tribe. I'm just letting you know that is what Phi Tribe's intention is. This is how it works. And a lot of the reasons of why I started this show on this channel was because I knew people were going to start to wake up through these frequencies. And I wanted them to be able to have a place to come and talk about what's happening. And that's what this is. The third eye video that I have over there has about 14 or 15 million views now. And what it does is that video induces lucid dreaming. And if you lucid dream enough, you're going to eventually realize that nothing's real. And if you haven't had someone talk about the philosophy behind that, it is very, very easy to fall into nihilism, which is where I felt a responsibility to start this channel and start talking about this stuff. So if you want to know what all that is, this is where it's coming from. Now, this power of frequency is ubiquitous throughout the universe, of both the material realm and outside in the metaphysical realm. because everything is made of vibration. Everything. There's not one thing that isn't made of vibration. And in the dream, vibrations are being used to control us. They're being used to control us. And there's just a lot of conspiracies about that, but I'm going to blow the lid off the conspiracies and tell you what I know that's true and what isn't true. There's a huge debate between 432 hertz and 440 hertz. I'm sure a lot of you guys know this. And pre-World War II, the majority of music was using 432 hertz. Now, they were using a lot of different types of tuning. They were using a lot of different types of solfeggio tuning as well, which are very healing. And 432 hertz is also very, very healing because it's harmonic with the universe itself. Not to get too metaphysical, but we could say that the Om of Brahma is 432 hertz. Okay, so you're getting in line with the creative forces that created the entire material realm that you're in. And all of that is at 432 hertz. So, what does this have to do with World War II in the dream? In the dream, in a fractal sense, in World War II, I believe is when they discovered that using frequency and this new invention called radio, that they can control the masses through frequency. And there was a law passed around, let's just say a law, but there was a new tuning standard. It was a global tuning standard that was passed around the turn of the World War II by a man named Joseph Goebbels. He was a Nazi. And when the Nazis invaded Austria, Austria was the center of the music world. Keep in mind, this is before there were records or CDs, or, this is before people could just, turn on music. This is right at the beginning of the invention of the radio, where people were just now beginning to hear music by flipping a switch, which was mind-blowing up until that point. So anyway, this Nazi named Joseph Goebbels, through the power of being a Nazi and being in Austria, he influenced this changing of the global tuning standard from 432 hertz to 440 hertz. And 440 hertz is completely disharmonious. It's completely dissonant. It's the opposite of the frequency you want to be. It's the best way I can describe it. And this frequency causes people to be anxious, causes people to be confused, it causes people to be lazy, and it causes people to give up on themselves. It causes people to feel like they need to surrender. You see all of the powerful qualities, militaristically, I guess, of this frequency. So that's a long sidebar to what I'm talking about tonight. But this is how a lot of the control that the adversary has is through our electronic devices. It's through music, because this music is tuned to this disharmonious frequency that pulls us further and further into the dream where we have no power. Furthermore, you could say this adversarial energy has completely captured the music industry. And you can tell from these little accolades behind me here, I've spent quite a long time in the music industry, almost 30 years. And no, I can't tell you of any parties of drinking blood, but I can tell you that they don't want you doing anything good. They don't want you writing any music that's good or positive. That kind of stuff is shunned in a big way. And that's why the music that we have today is so terrible. It's not that it's terrible. It's just written for the lowest vibration. Think about it. Everything is very low bass. It's all about the low bass, which is very root chakra. It's bringing you into your root chakra. And the lyrics are all encouraged to make you feel powerless, or to make you think that the only power that you have is through the gaining of money at any cost, whether it be murder, thievery, whatever it takes, as if money is going to be the solution to your problems. It isn't, I promise. You have to fix what's broken in here and broken in here before you're going to be happy. Doesn't matter how much money you throw on it. As a matter of fact, the more money you throw on it, the more likelihood you're going to make it even more difficult for yourself to heal those wounds. And that's just it. You can heal these wounds yourself. You can completely heal these wounds all by yourself. To quote C.S. Lewis, the gates of hell are locked from the inside. The power's in you. It's all in you. So one of my favorite books is this book called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. And I highly recommend you guys check out this book. It's free. You should be able to find it on YouTube or something like that. But it's an older book. But I'm going to read you a little bit something from this book. Now, oops, hang on a second. Oops. Napoleon Hill is famous for another book called Think and Grow Rich. And he was very, very famous for following a lot of the, call it the billionaires of his time, of his generation, and picking their brains for years and years and years to try to find out what it was that they knew that made them so successful. And he wrote all that down into a book called Think and Grow Rich, and that was the beginning of what we call the law of attraction. That's where it comes from. It comes from that book. So he wrote another book that he spent the majority of his life writing, and he didn't want anyone to read this book or publish this book until after he was dead. He was that afraid of letting this information out. Seriously. So he allowed this book to come out in his will, and his children released the book only after he was dead. He had that much fear that there would be repercussions for giving away this secret that I'm about to tell you here right now. So what the book is about a man who, through a bunch of different circumstances, and through the fame of being Napoleon Hill, is given the opportunity to interview the devil. And they're sitting in a hotel room, and Napoleon Hill is basically just picking the brain of the devil to find out what are the tactics that the devil uses to gain our attention and to ensnare us in its trap of the material realm. And I'm going to read you just a few of these here. So these are the most powerful things that it does. One that the devil calls drifting. And the devil encourages people to drift through life without a clear purpose or direction, making them susceptible to external influences and less likely to achieve their goals. The devil also uses fear to paralyze individuals, preventing them from taking risks, preventing them from making decisions or stepping out of their comfort zones. The devil works through the energy of indifference. By fostering a sense of indifference, the devil ensures that people will remain passive, uninterested in personal growth, and detached from their passions and ambitions. It uses negative influence as well. The devil surrounds individuals with negative influences such as toxic relationships, bad habits, destructive environments, drugs, alcohol, which can derail their progress and well-being. Procrastination. The devil encourages procrastination, causing people to delay actions and decisiveness, which leads to missed opportunities and unfulfilled potential. I think some of you guys are showing me here that you're seeing some of these things in your own life, right? You're like, damn, that's what's been happening to me lately. It's the adversary doing its thing, right? Criticism, right? The devil exploits ignorance, keeping people unaware of important knowledge and truths that could empower them to improve their lives and make informed decisions. He controls us through uncontrolled desires. The devil manipulates uncontrolled desires and appetites such as greed, lust, and addiction, leading individuals to make poor choices and lose control over their lives. The devil rules us through dependency. The devil encourages dependency on an external validation, substances, people, making individuals feel less reliant on themselves and more vulnerable to manipulation and control. And the last one here is, and there's a bunch more, but I'm only going to read you the first 10. The 10 is the lack of discipline. The devil undermines self-discipline, making it difficult for people to maintain focus, stick to their plans, and resist the temptations that lead them astray from their dreams. Who out there can relate with that? Right? The devil is cunning, isn't it? Right? Very, very cunning. Very, very cunning. Hang on a second. It's cunning in a sense that it uses our goodwill towards men, and it inverts it to serve its own needs, right? Which gives it even more power. It exploits us through our virtues, and exploits us through the things that we love and that we want to preserve. You know, I was watching this interesting documentary over the weekend, and it was talking about corporations and how evil they are. And this wasn't it was actually, before you think that this is going a certain direction, it really was pro-capitalism, this documentary. It was not shaming capitalism. Capitalism was essentially, Tom's barbershop and Bob's hardware store and Susie's cafe, right? Those aren't corporations, and they're not doing harm. They're bringing value to the community. But through a bunch of legal work after the Civil War, there was the 14th Amendment that was written, and the intention of this amendment was to give power back to the slaves. It was to allow them to ensure them that they can own land, and they could vote, and they can have total freedom like everybody else. But you know how the governments, they tack on these extra little things to these bills when they pass them? Well, what was attached to these bills, this amendment, was essentially allowing corporations to be viewed as a person, so that a corporation would also have the same rights as a person. And because a corporation now has these inalienable rights of freedom, they can't be stopped. Now, what's the difference between a corporation and a person that we know? Morals. A corporation has no morals by definition. A corporation only is there to provide for the investors and shareholders. That's its only purpose. To make the shareholders happy. To squeeze every last penny that it possibly can out of something. It doesn't matter how it makes you feel. It doesn't matter how it makes you think about anything at all. It just squeezes and squeezes and squeezes. So the point of me telling you that is to show how cunning the devil is. It uses our virtues of wanting to help someone, right? To help someone in need, and to offer some sort of reparation for this terrible thing. And at the same time, what the devil did is, through that virtue, tagged on this little thing that empowered a business to essentially destroy the world with no accountability. And that's what it did. And this is where we are now. It's taken 100 years, but these have just completely digested the planet and everyone in it, because it's a runaway freight train. You guys all see how sneaky that is? Sneaky, isn't it? It makes you so mad. And this applies to now. This is happening right now with everything that we're dealing with. The devil works through the climate crisis, right? Gets us all fighting against each other. It goes through racism to get us all fighting each other. It wants us looking everywhere except for where we need to be putting our attention, which is on defeating the adversary through going through our hearts. Love is the only weapon that works. It's the only weapon. The adversary is impervious to everything else. And we can see this happening again now. I could tell you right now where this darkness is headed. Through AI, the internet is being flooded with information. Flooded. So we're at this weird window, this very weird window in linear time, where we have access to information. For the longest time, the average person did not have access to any information. The only people who had access to information were the royals, or the lords, or the clergy, right? And they did that because most people couldn't read, and most people couldn't afford books, right? And then along comes the internet hundreds of years later, and schooling and everything else, right? And we're given information. And you can argue that everything about the school is propaganda, because all of modern education was created by the Rockefellers. And he's quoted as saying he does not want people who can think clearly. He wants obedient workers. That's why he created schools. He wanted schools to churn out people who are smart enough to work the equipment in the Industrial Revolution, but not smart enough to do it on their own. Do you see how sneaky that is? I'm giving you free education. But there's a sneaky seed in there, right? So getting back to the internet, this is what's happening now. What's happening is we've been given all this free information, right? Here it is. We have the internet. We have all of the information we could ever want at our fingertips, right? But like 87% of the internet is made by bots. And how long is it going to be before the entire thing is made by bots? To where what happens is the information itself becomes completely worthless. Oh, there's the music again. Sorry about that. I was kind of nervous that it was ending. So do you see how they've given us the information? They got us all on the internet to partake in this global discussion where they've captured our data, right? And we're going to be left with an internet that is worthless because it's going to be filled with so much misinformation. It'll be impossible to dig out the truth in this pile of rubbish, right? This is where it's going. And you say, what did we do? What do we do? We become aware of it. We become aware of it. And that's enough. It's all hopeless. It's hopeless. We have to just let it go. Let it go. And work on this. Work on this. And work on this. Don't let the adversary convince you that you're not going to go for your dreams. Go for your dreams. Go for them. You might as well. You should be going for your dreams in the sense that, well, it's all going to shit anyway, so I might as well completely invest everything into it because it's now or never. And I hope that inspires you. I didn't say all that to scare you. I'm saying that to empower. That now's the time. If you're waiting for a sign to go for it, this is it. This is it. Now, with that, there's a paradox. There's a paradox. Because if we look at this through the lens of satsang and Zen, we realize there's nowhere to get to. There's only now. It's the eternal present moment is all there is. And there's the dream out there. So what do we do about that? How do we resolve this paradox? Happiness seems to be going for the dream, And yet the truth is letting it go and being still with the present moment. It's the only way to win. It's the only way to win. The way we resolve that is by playing. We play. We stay in the present moment and we play with our dreams. We don't attack our dreams and go for them. I have to have my dream, otherwise I'm not going to be happy, or life will be unfulfilling. You play. You simply play. As children, we enter the kingdom of heaven. We play. We just simply play and love and use all of the energy inside of us to bring love into the world. And the love will lift you up. I promise it will. The more loving you can be, the faster your dreams will come to you. And it may not be the dream that you think that you're looking for, but it's going to be the dream that fulfills you, for sure. For sure. We use this time to recognize the adversary for what it is. We study it. We watch how it moves. We watch how it works against us, like Napoleon Hill says. And we use this awareness of being to wake up. To wake up. That's what the awareness is for. Realize who and what you are. Realize it only now exists. And where are you placing your thoughts? Are you placing your thoughts in the bin of the adversary? Or are you placing your thoughts in the bin of Christ consciousness and awareness? The total realization that you are it. You are it. There's no one else. There's no one else higher than you. No one else who's lower than you. You are the center of the universe. You are the whole. You're all of it. You're all of it. All of that. That's who you are. That's who you are. That's who you are. That's who you are. And there's great power in there. Great, great power in there. But it's up to you. It's up to you. No one said this game was going to be easy, and yet you came here to play in this game. You came because this is where all the action is. This is where the fun is. It's a tough game. It's a very difficult game. It is. I'm not going to lie. But it's worth it. I could tell you from this side of it that winning is pretty awesome. That's a pretty good feeling. And you can have it too. You really can. It's all about cleaning out the messes in here, healing the trauma, healing the pain, making friends with the shadow, making friends with the ego, and realizing that you're all stuck in this thing together. And through awareness, you can realize the present moment and bring peace to any situation, no matter how dark it is. No matter how dark the devil makes it, through awareness, you bring love in, and it's enough. You bring the love in, and bliss will follow. Bliss follows. Focus on the love of the here and now, with the intention to cast away the darkness in us. Cast it away. It no longer serves you. It may have served you before to help you grow, to help you become the character who you are now. But it no longer serves you, because if you're on this path and I've popped up in your feed, then it's time to awaken. That's what this is. That's what this satsang is. It's time to awaken and settle back into the comfort of the Garden of Eden that is eternally here now, present in every second of every moment. Awesome. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. I see so many different hearts going on. And that's all I have for you, but I want to go ahead and answer your questions. I saw a lot of questions go by. So, thank you guys for hanging with me tonight. It's really awesome. Oops, man, can't see that way either. Let me back up here. Let's see what we got. Let's see. All right. Okay. Paul says, the people who do the bidding of the adversary are aware of what they are doing. Oh, we were asking, are they aware of what they're doing? Why do they seem so different from me? They've lost their soul, Paul. The more that you give in to the adversarial energy, and the more you give in, and the more you give in, first you become what we would call, people like to say, as an NPC. It's just this person who just doesn't care, and they're just at the whims of what the adversary does for them and does to them. And then the adversary takes the weakest of those people and empowers them. Don't forget where you are. We're playing in a realm that is ruled by the adversary. It's you bringing all of the energy of God into the playground of the devil to have a good time and to play this game. Right? It's a battle. It's a battle. Are there any more questions? Boy, I thought I saw a few here that were... Boy, you guys have really been typing. How many people we got in here? This is like really good audience. Awesome. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here. Anybody have any questions, other questions that you guys might need to know? Want me to expand on? No? Okay, here we go. Michelle says, do you think negative entities can attach to alcoholics and addicts? Yes. They don't call it spirits for nothing. It opens a portal. Alcohol opens a portal. So do all kinds of other drugs, you know. I don't drink. I can't say so much for other things. But anytime you do that, you have to be careful. You're opening a portal. I like psychedelics. I talk about that quite frequently on this channel. And each time I have to be very, very careful about what I'm doing. And I'm very, very cognizant of the fact that I'm opening a portal when I do that. And I have blessings that I do, and I clear the house, and I do all kinds of things to ensure that I'm safe. But you'll never catch me doing those things out in public. It's too much crazy energy. It's too much. So take that into consideration. Yeah, I'm not a fan of alcohol, and I think it weakens people. So no judgment. You're asking for too much of a fight when you drink. And you know this unconsciously. You drink, because you're drinking to shut off, to shut down. You're drinking to shut down that battle. In a sense, you're kind of giving up. And it's the same thing with weed or anything else. And I partake in smoking of the weed. So, I'm not here to judge. We all have our thing. We all have our thing. But I'm not addicted to it. I'm not a slave to it. I'm not. It's a recreational thing. So think about things like that too. I'm not saying don't drink, if you want to go have a good time, but just be cognizant of it. Be aware of it. Take responsibility for what you're doing. Take responsibility. Yes, you're totally right, females or angels. Psychedelics will definitely help you see things that you wouldn't otherwise be aware of, for sure. It instantly drops veils of perception and reveals things about reality that you couldn't formerly see. Again, the psychedelics are not necessary for this spiritual gnosis. They simply provide a glimpse. They're just a tool. But you can totally have this awareness of being without them. So I don't want to scare anybody off with that. Awesome. Boy, all right. Well, we went over an hour already. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And I think because we were talking about the devil, let's just and the adversarial energy. Let's just take a moment to clear ourselves of any of that stuff that does not serve us at all. And let's evoke some love to come into our life and be so grateful for all of the love in my life. And as you should, say these things out loud with me. I am so grateful for all of the love entering my life right now, clearing out any sneaky adversarial energy that thought it was going to wiggle its way into your life through this conversation. This conversation is about empowerment. This conversation is about recognizing your enemy and seeing it for what it is and letting it do its thing. Let it do its thing. Just watch the movie, but don't let it control you. But don't try to take it on. You're not going to win. Just watch. Your power is in watching. Your power is in awareness. That's the power. It's not in the fight. It's in the awareness of who you are. It's the remembering of who you are, which is the whole. I am. Forever and forever, that is my name. I am. All right, guys, I love you very, very much. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really, really appreciate hanging out with you. And I had a good time. This is 12:12. Look at this, stopped at the right time here. So thank you very, very much. And tomorrow, I promise, I wanted to do a Reiki thing earlier this week, but I just wasn't up to it. But tomorrow, I have a song ready to go. So for those of you available, let's do some Reiki tomorrow night. And yeah, we'll do some Reiki together, and it'll be awesome. We'll definitely clear out some more stuff. All right? I love you guys very much. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you guys again next week. Love and kisses. Take care. Bye-bye.